So today I finally have the final 1999 set. This is the one I've been waiting for. This was the biggest one of the wave, and oh boy, is it crazy. So I got the sealed in box, kind of. All the bags are sealed, the boxes are open, but just look at this thing. On the front of the box, we have the LEGO System logo. Next, we have the LEGO Star Wars Phantom Menace logo for 1999. We have the set number 7171, and then we have the piece count, the age, and then the name of the set, and we even got who's pod racers who's. So we got Anakin, Gasconos, and Sebulbas, and then we just got beautiful box art design. Looking onto the back, we're going to see some of those same symbols, but we're going to see the builds all laid out there, getting repaired. We're going to see some alternate builds. I like this one with all the different speeders and the stands and all the different mechs and ships you can build. A really big set. On the top of the box, we're going to see some information, some LEGO Club stuff, some more of that LEGO Star Wars. On the side, we're going to see some warning labels and some pictures of Anakin, his pod racer, and his team. And on the other, we're going to see Gascono and Sebulba and a little bit of their pod racers. And finally, on the bottom, we get a cool little image of all three pod racers. This cool Phantom Menace fan club. And then the Toys R Us sticker. That's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And so it's just like this. And when you open up the flap, you're going to see the inside of your set. And first up, we have this, and I'll get into this near the end. Then we're going to see the instruction booklet, standard manual for 1999. And then this is pretty cool how they packaged it. So it comes with 3 separate boxes for each pod racer. And just go ahead. So you start off with the smallest one being Anakin's, then you move up to Gasconos, and then Sebulbas. And these are really cool boxes, and basically these are open, but the bags are sealed. So yeah, I think the only one that isn't opened is this one, and I'll just show you how I open them. So this set is 7171, the Mos Espa Pod Race. It released April 1st, 1999. It had an original retail price of $90. Now, adjusted for inflation in today's money, that's $171, where the time has gone. But it gets even crazier. If you want this sealed in box like I have it, it's going to cost you upwards of almost $400. If you want it used, it's about $145. The set had 894 pieces, 6 builds, 3 pod racers, and some flags. And a whopping 10 minifigures. So most of them come in this box, but they also count the pit droids as individual minifigures. So that's where 3 of the minifigures come from, but we'll get into that later. Let me go ahead and build this set up so we can review it. So just going ahead and taking a look at Anakin's, just so I can show you how these boxes were opened. So they do have the tab, but to not ruin them, I'm not going to use that. But you just take a little knife here and cut along the glue seam right here. And there's some big blobs at some parts, but for the most part, we can just cut through most of it. So you can get it, there it goes. So you can just see inside, we're going to get the bulk of everything, and look, his cape is just loosely floating around. So I'm going to go ahead and get into building this, and then I'll review it. So I was about to start building this, and there's some interesting things I wanted to talk about. First, starting with the instruction manuals. So for each box, they actually display which one you'll be building. Then there's that huge selection of minifigures. Speaking of minifigures, when I looked inside the bag, I looked at my Padme, and she's missing a hand. Now, it is in the bag. I did see it in the bag, but I just thought that's interesting how Lego used to put the heads on the minifigures already. And so we can see that with each minifigure, their head is already attached. But Padme's hand is in there. I did see it, so hopefully it's not loose and like her hand actually fits in there properly. Anyways, I'm gonna build it now. So here are all three of the pod racers all built up. They're huge, going in size. Now I'm gonna start with the minifigures. So our first minifigure up is Anakin Skywalker with light gray helmet. So this figure appeared in one other pod racer set. He also appeared in the Naboo Starfighter, but he had a brown cap. So this is the same Anakin Skywalker we see. Of course, this is 1999, so he has minimal printing. He only has printing on his torso and face. No printing on the legs, arms, or back. No alternate head. And he does have tall legs because Lego had not yet invented the short stunted legs. Overall, nice minifigure. We've seen him before. If you want him new, he'll be about $11, and if you want him used, he'll be about $5. Next up, we got a really common figure for this year, Qui-Gon Jinn. He appeared in 4 sets, the Naboo Swamp, the Gungan Sub, and 2 others I'm forgetting. Oh, the Lightsaber Duel and one other, I can't remember. Anyways, this figure, he's really common, so if you want him new, he'll be about $17, and if you want him used, he'll be about $7. This one does not have his chrome lightsaber hilt or his lightsaber at all in this set, because there's no need for it. He's not fighting anyone, he's just watching. Still though, really cool inclusion. Next up, we have the Kryptonite of minifigures for this year, and that's Jar Jar Binks. He appeared in 3 sets, and if you want him new, he'll be about $10, and if you want him used, he'll be about $5. Now, you can probably tell that his head is not on all the way. And because this is a new set, all these pieces had not been put together yet, so he was a pain in the butt to put together. His head would not go on, and I do not think I'll be able to get his head off his body for a long time. Anyways, he has a nice torso printing, no printing anywhere on that mold, no back printing, no leg printing, no arm printing, just your standard Jar Jar Binks from 1999. Next up, we got Padme Amidala, and I find this figure so funny because mine has a misprint where her lips are like pushed over to the side of her face, so it makes her figure look really weird. Anyways, Padme Amidala, we've seen her before. She came in the last Pod Racer set, and I'll get into talking about that later, but no leg printing, torso printing, no back printing, no alternate face, really nice hairpiece, decent face printing. Overall, an okay minifigure, not my favorite. She's $12 if you want her new, and $6 if you want her used. Now on to our favorite little astromech, R2-D2. This minifigure appeared in so many sets throughout this first 1999 wave and continued to reappear. So if you want him new, $7. If you want him used, $2. So yeah, really nice head printing. Obviously, they changed it later to where this printing came all the way down the dome, and they gave him back printing. But right now, just your standard R2-D2. Now we have Anakin's Pit Droid. This is the same one that appeared in the Anakin's Pod Racer set. Just a bunch of pieces built to use to build him up. Does not look like a Pit Droid, in my opinion, and is super tall. Like, he's almost as tall as Anakin. I just don't think they look like Pit Droids that much, but with what Lego could do, it's decently accurate. If you want this minifigure new, he'll be about $10. If you want him used, $5. This is Gasgano, so the figure I'm about to show you is about to look similar but nothing like him. So, you know that picture you just saw? You ready to see what his minifigure looks like? That is Gascon. Yeah. I think Lego, I see what Lego was going for, the vision that they had in mind. I think they did okay with accomplishing it, but boy, is it a little rough. And little is an understatement. It gets even crazier when you start to compare the price of this minifigure. This minifigure, if you want him new, in brand new condition, he will be $50. I don't, and you're probably looking at this and going, I could build this with the pieces I have. Yeah, you probably could. It's the face that's really expensive. And if you want him used, he's going to be $21. This is the most expensive minifigure in the set, and it's not even close. He's just wildly expensive, and I don't even get it. I have a pie chart that I'm going to show you that just shows how much he's increased over the years, but yeah, Gascon.
I thought this was interesting. It's just a chart showing the price of how he has increased over the years and hasn't dropped. And you could see he used to be like 30, but nowadays he's upwards of $40. And if I scroll down here, you can see that he has had an 833% increase. That's crazy. And you can see here on eBay and Bricklink, he's about $50.
This is Gascon's pit droid, and you can tell the difference between his and Anakin's because he has a white piece right here, and that's just to match how Gascon was white. Now, funnily enough, in the instructions, this is the only pit droid that actually gets an item. And the rest of it, it never says to give any other pit droid an item. Anyways, this Gascon pit droid, if you want him new, he's $10. If you want him used, he's $6. But kind of just looks like Anakin's. Finally, we have Sebulba. This minifigure looks great for this molded piece, and I'm glad that they updated him in later years, but for this, it was a great molded piece. If you want this piece new, it'll be $20. If you want used, $15. To me, without any actually printing on it, it looks just like a statue, which is why it is supposed to be a minifigure, but it just looks like a statue. But it is a great minifigure, and I'm gonna show you how he sits in his pod in a minute because it's pretty cool. But great minifigure, and I'm glad they updated him. But yeah, this whole pod racer is what we see in Anakin's pod racer set. They literally just took that pod racer, slapped it in this set, added 2 more pod racers and a couple side builds, and called it good. Obviously, they did more than that, but yeah, they did not change Anakin's pod racer at all. I don't know why they didn't just make them separate, have this be where you could get the other 2 pod racers, because obviously kids would just buy this over Anakin's pod racer. Now, that's probably not true because that set came out a little bit before this one. So you would probably get that one, then see this one on shelf and want this one. And this one retailed for $90. So a lot of parents probably said, no, that's too expensive. But regardless, this pod racer is exactly the same. You're gonna notice there is supposed to be printing right there, and there's not. And I think that's just something that Lego forgot to do, was since this is 1999, they just forgot it. But yeah, so this was in the bag and it just didn't have any printing on it. And on the other side, you're gonna notice that there is supposed to be printing on it. Now this doesn't concern me because I have this exact same set and it does have printing on both sides, but yeah. Anyways, starting with the thrusters, we're gonna see that it's this yellow and blue, and all these can move if you want them to, but they're just supposed to stay closed. It uses the nice fish dome piece in there to get that yellow rotor looking thing. Nice detailing and greebling. These pieces run all the way through. Now, you can see this nice orange that they used for the power supply that they needed in order to fly. But what I think is interesting is this. So obviously in the actual movie and in the scene, it's just this body and these wires are the only thing holding this up with this connecting it. So obviously that wouldn't be stable if Lego just did that. So what they had to do was create a body. And I think it's pretty unique what they did. So the reason that the body is tan is because they raced on Tatooine where the sand was yellow, was sand. So this is supposed to represent sand. And like, so if you were having it race on sand, then you wouldn't be able to see this because it'd be like they're racing on sand. I just thought that was interesting. Maybe that's not what it's designed for, but I'm pretty sure that's why they did it. Moving back to the body of where like the actual cockpit is, you can see there's this nice printed piece. This is not a sticker. And Anakin, if we grab our Anakin minifigure, and you can see he just sits in there like so. You can pull these pieces back and he's in there flying it. These doors are actually meant to open and be like a flap or something, like the way he slows down. I can get them both open. So that's in the instructions that these are supposed to come out to act as like a way for him to slow down. I think that's something Lego did. I don't think that's actually a design on it, but yeah. Overall, this Pod Racer set, when I reviewed it before, it's just really simple and it's really cool for kids to just play with it. Not my favorite Pod Racer I'm looking at today, or not my favorite Pod Racer at all, but I just really love what they were able to do with all these pieces. Has really nice designing on the sides where the wires connect and all of it. It's just a really great build, but we have seen it before, so it's nothing interesting. Next up, we have Gasgano's Pod Racer, and this is one of my favorite Pod Racers. Obviously, there's only 3, but this one is pretty cool, and I'll show you why. But let's start with that flag and why it's inaccurate. So it's this little stand, and it's just supposed to represent sand, and then the flags. I think a better color scheme for this flag would have been to be green and orange or purple, like they have on the ship. But instead they chose black, but this one is the second most accurate out of all of them. Moving on, we have this tool, little like tower thing where the tools are so the pit droids can come and repair the ship. And I really like this. It uses these pieces, which were used as a lot of landing gear at the time, since Lego didn't have a way to do that. But it looks really nice when it's used. And then it has this dish piece and a little hook on top to just make it look really cool. I think it's just a cool thing. And then you can take his pit droid and you can just have him over here waiting for Gasgano to come over and need to get his thing repaired. Overall, really just simple, but I think it does a really great job of doing what it needs to do. And it just shows the difference between how Anakin is a slave and has this, and he's like an actual pod racer and rich and has this. So I just think that's a cool comparison. Let's move on to the actual pod racer now. And this one is hefty, but it's not the heaviest one. So back here we have a really nice cockpit. Has a chair, some nice printing right there, if you can see it. Has these, I guess that's how he steers because his arms are so long, or supposed to be. But really nice body and shaping for that to come down. And then we get that same sand tan that's supposed to represent the sand. And then we move on to the thrusters. These are mirrored on both sides, but they're really cool. If I can show you them. They're just attached via, literally, let me see if I can get them off. Yep, there it goes. So it's just attached by clips right there, and it broke. I'll fix that in a minute. But this is the thruster, and it's mirrored on both sides. I'm just going to take it off so I can show you easier. It uses these old pieces that were used as like trapdoor pieces, I think is what they're called. But you can see some nice orange striping along the thing, along the thruster. And then it tapers off into a really nice point using that purple and green and orange. Front of it is just this black piece, and that's how you would build it. Yeah, this one had a really cool feature where if you see this black fin, you can actually pull this out like so, and now he has blades that come out, and this is actually a feature, and that's on both sides. So you could have him racing and have these come out and cut like Anakin's or Sebulba's wires and have them go flying. But yeah, they're really nicely hidden under there, and they're really hard to see unless you know they're there. Otherwise, you just think it's Greebling. But yeah, I think that's a really cool feature that it's just hidden in there. And then when you want to put it back on, you literally just take it for the clips and clip it back on. And let me fix this. Let me show you the other side. So you see the black fin, and it comes out to reveal the saw. And then it just folds up right back in there. Really cool feature. Now, let me show you how Gascoigne actually gets in his pod. So, he doesn't actually stand on his own, which is why I have him on this clip. But this clip is actually a piece that attaches right here. And so then he just sits in there like this. And when he's in there, you can just see that he just sits in there like that. So I just pulled this clip off so he could stand on the pieces, but obviously it's supposed to stay in there. Because otherwise, if you don't have anything to clip him onto, then he just falls over. Yeah, so this is a really cool pod racer, especially for 1999. Got some nice fins on the side, no printing. This is printed. No other printing on this ship. It has that same translucent orange up front. And I think this one has the coolest feature out of all the pods with this saw that comes out. But there's Gascoigne, kind of sitting in the pod. Now let's move on to Sebulba's. Before we get into the pod racer, we have to talk about his flag and tool stand. So it's the exact same build as Gascoigne's, except the flag colors are crazy inaccurate. Sebulba's pod racer is mainly orange and black, not black and white. So when I show you the pod racer, you're going to wonder why they didn't just go with black and orange to match the pod racer, and why they went with black and white. Because literally there's only one piece on the entire pod racer that is white, and you can't even see it. Anyways, it's the same tool stand. It does what it needs to do. I feel like they could have made this one bigger than Gascoigne's to show how Sebulba's different, but yeah. My one gripe with this, and I know it's 1999, so they're not going to change it now, but this flag is just like crazy inaccurate. I don't know what they were doing, but I feel like they could have just given an orange one and it would have been fine. Anyways, let's get into the actual pod racer. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the pod racer of Sebulba. Oops. Now this thing is huge, so I have to kind of zoom it out so you can see the whole thing. These pieces on the side are huge, and even the cockpit is massive. And I think the first thing you're going to notice is this shiny chrome piece on Sebulba's pod racer, and this was the only chrome piece in this set, but it does what it needs to, and it's really cool. So looking at the cockpit, you're going to see two huge thrusters and two very nice printed pieces that show some symbols on them. Then you're going to see these pieces that were really common in 1999. And yeah, moving on, we have this nice chrome piece. There's these saws on the side of Sebulba's pod so he doesn't get hit. One thing about this is these engine pieces. Let me show you. If you take off this piece, this black thing is the only thing holding it in there, and you can see that there's like 4 studs. So it makes you wonder why they just didn't do what they did back here and use a gray piece so it would be the same length sticking out. I don't know why they did that, but maybe it got stuck or something if they used the other piece. I don't know. But yeah, it is weird because these pieces are really fragile, and I feel like if they just use this, it wouldn't be as fragile. Anyways, you can see some nice greebling along the side, some nice sloped pieces to get this really nice angle, and it has a windshield piece. Now you're probably wondering, how does Sebulba actually get into his pod? And I'll show you that here. So Sebulba is a 2-studded character, but he also has this his legs sticking out, which is a clip piece. So when you put him in here, he actually sits on the stud and the clip at the same time, and it makes it look really cool. This is my favorite way that they've actually done the cockpit. Like, this is the coolest cockpit they have. And I think Sebulba looks so good when he's sitting in there, just because they gave him a place to put his feet. They could have just done away with that whole section and just put him in there on 2 studs, but they didn't, and I think it looks really great. Moving on to the thrusters, I'm just going to show you here, and I'm gonna take them off, so give me a second. So here's the thruster. It is mirrored on both sides, so what you see here is what's on the other side. And so we'll start with the front of it, and the front has this saw piece, and I've never seen this piece that they use to connect the saw piece, but it just sits on this, and you can push it down. It doesn't spin all the way when it's on the piece, but it pushes down like here, so you could hide it and then push it and have it come up. It's got really nice printed piece in there and on the top of it to show the difference between the black and orange, which is what the flag colors should have been. It's really nicely tiled off, actually, in my opinion. It looks really good, and the transition is kind of seamless from here all the way back. Gray pieces back there to show that transition. Nice greebling along the sides and the front there. These pieces in there, you can see more greebling. And these are actually on hinged pieces, so you can have them close up like that, kind of like it was the X-Wing. And when you're ready to race, have them pop back out. Moving on down, you have this huge power supply, and this is where that one white piece is, and that's on both sides, so I guess there's 2 white pieces. But yeah, this spins. I guess that could be fun for kids. These are printed on both sides, and it's a really cool print piece that I haven't seen before. It just looks good, and it looks cool. I love when Lego used to do printing instead of stickers. But yeah, this whole piece looks really nice. And then moving on to the bottom, we can see some more of those pieces, which were really common. And they actually have a cool function. If you pull them back, it reveals this fuse or power something. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's on the underside, so you can't really see it when it's attached, but it's just a really cool feature that you could have them repair that and then close it up. And this is on both sides. So yeah, huge. This is where most of your building for Sebulba's Pod Racer comes from, is just these thrusters. and it looks really cool when it's all put together and on both sides. So yeah, before I move on, I want to talk about the little boxes inside the big box. So the little boxes are just going to have all your characters that you're going to get in that set with the little side build and the pod racer. It's going to say the main set number since these are all part of the same set. Lego System, Star Wars, and it doesn't have the Phantom Menace one. This is the shiny text. Looking on the side, it just says Lego Star Wars System. And same on this side with the set number. And then on the back, it's just the same picture with the warning and age. And all the boxes are the same. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about them. There's nothing inside. You would just find the bags. So yeah. Next up, I want to talk about this, which was the Lego Club at the time. Like, this is what you would get in all your sets, was the Lego catalog that had all your themes at the time. So you're going to see Rock Raiders, and there's all the Rock Raiders sets. Then you'd have your Star Wars. This is the Phantom Menace page, and I have every single one of those sets, and they're all reviewed. So if you want to go check them out, go check out the channel. Then you'd have your Star Wars original trilogy sets, and you can see them all there. And then this page actually opens up and reveals this bigger panel of Lego Mania from 1999, which was just, I think, a showcase of all the sets that they had that year, or a showcase for what sets were coming out that year. I don't know what it was, but they stopped doing that. Now they have like other stuff. But yeah, there's more themes in here. If you want to read all the themes, you can. But yeah, it's cool that they included this back in those 1999 sets. It's sad they don't do it anymore, but we get the Lego catalog and we have it online, so there's no need to waste paper to print this stuff anymore. And finally, before I give my thoughts and opinions, we have the instruction booklet. I kind of showed this at the beginning, but it's just a regular standard build, and when you got done with one set, it'd show you the box to build the next set, and it just take you through the steps. For a big set, they don't actually have the scenes in the top of the corner, or in the top of the thing, and I think that's mostly due to the Phantom Menace not being released yet, or had just been released, so they didn't have scenes to show for it, so it didn't spoil it for people. But yeah, and then when you get all the way to the back, it has that comic that they always did for these sets. These builds aren't as cool as some of the ones they've done before. They're just kind of a little bland. But yeah, you can see them there. This one's kind of cool. I think this one is an homage to Rock Raiders, which was a theme they had at the time. And on the back, it shows you some more alternate builds. I like this one with the stands that you can build and some other pod racers, so all your friends could race pods and you could have fans cheering and watching. But yeah, on the front, you can just see it's the box art. So my final thoughts and opinions on this set is that it is super cool. It is one of my favorite 1999 sets, just for having so much stuff included with it. You get, in my opinion, what would be 3 separate sets in one set, and it's just really cool what they were able to do to get all the shaping and even try and attempt the minifigures of this set. It's just really cool to see them all 3 next to each other. And yeah, would I recommend you get this? Only if you're a collector. And if you can find it for cheap, then go ahead and pick it up. But that'll do it for today. Peace out, y'all.